Howdy, howlers. Howdy, howlers. Okay. It's Sako Toomey, also known as Cass Voigt. I write horror thriller. I'm a witch and I'm a graphic designer, and I combine those three things sometimes. Today I'm pulling the witch card, reading from Backwoods, Witchcraft, Appalachian Conjure. I am out of coffee. I might go and grab some while people mill in. Hi, Christina. Doing the things. Hey, honey. Oh, hold on 1 second. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Hi, Bonnie. Bong, bong, bong. It is 10 in the morning, so it's going to bong 10 times. Hard to be. Yay! You were not home? Is that why I haven't seen you around? Howdy, howdy. You have a contest? Tell me more. I missed the contest waiver post thing. What is your contest? I may or may not be into it. Oh, house and dog sitting for a week. And then some. Heckin' good morning. How's it going, Nicole? How you doing? Glad to see you this morning. Absolutely. Tell me more, tell me more. Is the contest a crap? I need to drink a thing. That is a thing I need to do. Also, I think I need to turn on a light. This is a little grainy. Hold on. I also don't need my headphones on. Light. Good morning to all the peoples. Good morning to all the peoples. My dad is planting a tree today, and he's getting a couple of ladies to help him. All the things. All the things. I suspect that StreamYard is lagging. I will be right back. Papa, did you touch base with Jody and Britt? Oh, okay. They said they would be back later. Oh, did they? Yeah. Oh, I didn't mute myself. I apologize. Apparently, at some point today, my physical copy of ETMP5 should arrive. Oh, cool. E5 is cool stuff. You can't broadcast it. There's like red tape all over it. But it's cool stuff. It also continues the universe after 20th anniversary. So something to consider. for like storyline things, it's awesome. The system is good too. So it's really good at bringing in new people, and it's really good at bringing in old people. Delivers? Indeed. Read the red tape. It's not that bad. Yeah. You just can't broadcast it. Can't stream it. But if you're looking for players, right. Let's see what's up. These are awful. I might skip this chapter. To sow is to reap. How about that? They may have updated since you last saw it, since what I saw on the Wolf Pack on Dark Pack? Or maybe they wanted to get Chicago out before people were streaming and stuff. So that's cool.
Okay, I'm off to FedEx, and I'm going to grab some sprinkle cheese from Publix on the way back.
Cool.
For spaghetti tonight, okay?
Cool.
You want anything?
Yeah, Dark Pack. Mm-hmm. Black Wolf or Black Dog is their not safe for work, super super mature audiences line. When harvesting, we gather the plants and fruits in a basket, and that is lined with white fabric, especially if the plants will be used for medicine. Every time I go to harvest a plant for medicine or work, I face the east at the fourth plant I find and say a prayer telling God what it will be used for, asking for a blessing for the endeavor at hand. Meow, meow.
Yeah.
I then hold the plant with my left hand and cut with my right, always receiving with my non-dominant hand. Same when taking a whole plant up or getting the roots. My spirits also advise me to pay attention to things when I go to harvest from the wild or from the garden, such as activities of animals, the direction of the wind, the condition of the plant I come upon. Doves, cardinals, and swallows are good signs, being associated with superstitions of good luck. Owls, crows, vultures, and whippoorwills are bad signs, and more frequently feared for their associations with death, accidents, and illness. Also pay close attention to the growth of the plant itself when harvesting, especially when digging up roots. When I pull up roots and bulbs, if the roots are knotted or rotting, it's a sign the work will be ineffective. If the roots are smooth and healthy, it will work. Some plants, such as morning glories, have gnarly roots, so the opposite is true for them. Gnarly is good, slim and straight are bad. But sometimes the entire plant is required. Oh. The formula will usually specify which parts of the plant are needed, but sometimes the entire plant is required. Excuse me. You smartass. You're dirty. In this case, the plant is pulled up and a piece of bread or a bead or some cornmeal or tobacco is dropped into the hole as an offering. If the plant's roots show a bad outcome, simply replant it and water it. If you are taking leaves, flowers, fruit, or bark, pay attention to the toughness of the plant. Sometimes the spirits will redirect you. You can tell this is happening when the plant refuses to give up anymore. You start harvesting leaves easily, but then it becomes tougher. When this happens, it's time to stop. You have what you need. Scientifically, this occurs in many species of plants as a defense mechanism against being harvested or eaten by animals to death. An easy harvest is a good sign, but a struggle at the start is a bad sign for the work and a message to reevaluate the situation. I also believe it means you might not yet know everything that you need for the work. When wildcrafting, most folks hold true to the Cherokee practice of passing the first 4 to 7 plants you find in order to leave plenty for future generations. After harvesting only what you need or what the spirits limit you to, give an offering of cornmeal or tobacco. These are the tithes we give to the spirits in return for their favor. Place your harvested portions on your handkerchief or in your basket and don't let it touch the ground. If all other signs up to now are pointing to a good outcome, I sometimes rely on the last method simply for good measure. I will take a bundle of straw, plantain leaves, or tobacco leaves down to the river. This bundle is not tied together or anything. I find a crook in the creek that faces east and hold up the bundle with prayers. I then drop the bundle into the water and I watch it. If it separates within 3 feet as it floats, it foretells failure. If it remains in a loose bundle for 9 feet or more as it drifts away, it shows the working or medicine will be a success. These signs and omens are simply the tip of the iceberg divinatory practices in Appalachia, and only a few that I use in working my roots. I find it customary to always consult a few different methods or signs and look for consistency in the outcome to better understand the direction the spirits point toward. Root and weather signs. Besides the care taken in planting and harvesting crops, plants are watched for omens. If cabbage grows primarily white leaves, there will be death soon before it's harvested. If flowers bloom outside of their season, it's also a sign of death. This has always held true for my family. Before my step-grandfather John passed away last winter, the mums outside were blooming out of season in the summer. Before my Aunt Marie passed away, or Aunt Marie passed away a few years later, the irises bloomed through a Christmas blizzard. Some taboos remain in planting certain plants or trees, either on the property or at all. For instance, you're never supposed to plant a willow or a walnut yourself. Otherwise, you'll die either when it first blooms or when it's big enough to shade your grave. Hi, kitty. I have toes. I'm being inspected by a kitty cat. We predict the weather by aches and pains in our body, by the way the wind blows, and by using a jar of animal fat. Aching in the shoulders and arms means it's going to rain a bit. But if the aching is in the back or legs, then there will be a downpour where it's real muddy. There's been many a time that I didn't heed Mama's warnings about the mud and my foot would get stuck, and every time my shoe was pulled plumb off and just sat there filling with muddy water. Kitty inspections can be tickly. Animal fat or oil shut tight in a jar was left in the window to predict the weather. Often this was duck fat or bear fat, as it worked better than deer, rabbit, or goose. The fat seemed to separate in the jar and create layers that are clear, misty, or snowy. If the thickness settles to the very bottom and there's no movement, it foretells nice weather. If it becomes cloudy and the thickness leans a certain way in the jar, it predicts a storm coming from the direction it is leaning. That's total bullshit. This is the same idea that, like, if you put your intention and a wish in an egg and you boil it, if it sinks, if it floats, then it's good. If it sinks to the bottom, then it's bad. However, science decrees that it is how old the egg is that will determine whether it will float or whether it will be on the bottom. So that's a thing. The activities of animals, and wild and domestic, were also omens. If a black dog howls at night, the devil is near. If a white dog comes to your home or follows you home and waits outside, they are waiting for their owner, Death, to visit the home. If a dog crawls on its belly while dragging its hind legs, Papa said it was measuring its owner's grave. The same was foretold if you found an inchworm on yourself. Expect the worm is measuring you for the death shroud. Lots of death. Lots of death. Whether you have a little... your garden is the next section. Your garden. Whether you have a little space outside your home or acres to go with, I encourage you to grow your own food and flowers. Research indigenous herbs and grow them yourself, or grow the common sage, vervain, corn, and other crops. If you're going to do a container garden, always make sure the adult plants have enough room to grow deep roots. Otherwise, they can and will grow roots through the drain holes and into the ground. This can be a problem with invasive plants, but most others I simply leave like this, as they technically made themselves at home. Mint is a super invasive plant. Beware, beware, beware. If your garden will be planted in the ground, find good soil. Clay is very hard for most plants to grow in, so you want to find nice brown dirt. Till the soil and make your rows. We always run the rows from east to west, following the path of the sun for better growth. For some plants, like okra, green beans, and morning glories, I recommend using tobacco sticks or metal fence posts if you can find them, and drive them deep for good support. Sure. Tobacco sticks or thick sticks from the woods can be arranged teepee style, with the bottoms driven into the ground and the tops bound together with baling twine or hemp to give these plants something to climb on. Tomato cages are good for supporting tomatoes, as well as cucumbers, peas, and beans. For climbing plants like morning glories, wisteria, or roses, use a trellis or stake. Wisteria becomes woody and very heavy over the years, so it'll need a very strong support and will need to be permanent. You'll sometimes need to tie the stalks of the plant to the pole or cage, in which case you should avoid using wire, twine, or other tight strings, because this can harm the plant as the stem grows thicker and sways in the wind. Otherwise, you may find plants decapitated after a big storm. Instead, use strips of old towels or cloth to bind them. I prefer towel strips because the older and more worn they get while outside, the tougher the knot becomes, while also allowing the stalk to grow. But I will still go out and loosen the knot once in a while to make more room. Basic farming advice. How's that, Witchcraft? I agree. Don't forget our planting song when planting new seeds and making their beds. Some for the birds and some for I, some for the beetle and some for the fly, some to rot and some to grow. Lord bless these seeds, I now do so. Here in Appalachia, we plant our seeds on February 14th. Plant yours on a date that you're sure the frost won't kill them. Folklore of other regions may ascribe a different date. This is to swear by if it's done right. It's always best to plant on the even number days of the month, such as the 4th, 6th, 8th, and so on. Yeah. Being able to manipulate nature, I suppose. The relationship with the plants and the relationship with the plants and also what the plants are used for differ with who's it? However, no matter the number of the day, I never plant anything on a Friday, as I was always told it was bad luck. A lot of things are not to be done on Fridays, such as sewing, spinning, or planting. The consequences range from simple bad luck to dying before your task is ever finished. With planting, the seeds will never sprout if it's sowed on a Friday. The only Friday that is exempt from this prophecy is Good Friday, when the seeds are nourished by the blood of Christ, ensuring a good yield. If your plants can't be sowed this early in the spring, you can at least make up the garden beds on Good Friday and they'll do just as well. You'll see throughout this work that religious days such as Easter, Ash Wednesday, and Good Friday have a lot of folklore and magic around them. I have thoughts about that. Growing your own herbs is super useful, absolutely. I set out some buckets to collect rainwater as well. I let them get full and water my plants when it's been hot or it's been about a week since it rained. If the leaves of the plant begin turning yellow or white, pluck them off. This can be an onset of illness in the plant or a lack of water or too much of it, among other things. This also lets the plant invest just enough energy to heal the place you plucked from compared to a lot of energy spent trying to keep that part alive. Turn the soil good in your pots every spring before planting. Turn it up so the soil was at the bottom is primarily at the top for the new year. This will move the majority of the nutrients back to the top. Cover this with new topsoil or manure. So get your spade and tobacco sticks and try your eye at watching for the signs for the best growth of your herbs and roots. Chapter 6, Folk Rites of the Mountaineer, Techniques and Methods of the Power Doctor. I assume they're going to talk about dowsing. I want to peek real quick. Passing rights, transference rights, body rights. Measuring rights, pegging, plugging, and nailing rights. Directional rights, turning rights. I do not see anything on dowsing. This is a long chapter. Jeez. Okay. The people of Appalachia have always clung tightly to the familiarity of their heritage, land, and livelihood, and we easily put up arms when any of these things become threatened in any way. We have routine rituals scattered throughout our lives and land. We cook a certain way, we socialize in particular ways, and we live our daily lives the same. The Appalachian root doctor likewise applies certain techniques and methods to his formulas in repetition and rhythm. Aw, thank you, Haley. Jeez. No. So nice of you. Many of these techniques are simply repeated ways of doing things that show up in different formulas. I call these patterns rites, as they appear again and again in our folklore. I utilize many rites in my own work, which we'll cover in this chapter. My definition of rites differ. The methods and charms discussed below are also used by traditional folk healers in Appalachia, namely the hand movements and motions of the fire talkers, thrash throwers, and blood charmers, those who cure burns and thrush and stop the flow of blood. Passing rites. The act of passing is when an object is passed over a person, or the person is passed under or over for a particular work. Commonly done in blessings, protection work, and cleansings, passing is believed to remove the evil eye, among other things. Passing rites appear in Appalachian lore in a multitude of ways, primarily in those of the Baptist Church and in Appalachian funerals, where the candle is passed over the body to bless it. I've performed many blessings on people who come to me helpless, afraid, and afflicted by ill luck. Woo! With each one, you can see the stress and worry drain away as the candle is passed over their body, and prayers to the Holy Ghost fill the air. These practices relate to the Bible and the natural world. In the beginning, the ghost passed over the unformed earth, and the same spirit is the one who passed over Egypt and brought death, disease, and storms. In one old remedy for colic, a child is passed backward through a horse collar 3 times between the parents. In others relating to colic and ailments such as fever or chills, a man and 2 women, or 1 woman and 2 men, are to take the child to a young tree. The tree should be about 10 inches in diameter or as old as the child. The trunk is split open with an axe or blade right in the middle toward the west. In this position, the cutter's back is to the east and he's facing west, aligning the cut to run east to west. Once the trunk is split, one person holds the split trunk open while the others pass the child through it 3 times, feet first and belly down. Afterward, the trunk is bound back together with rope, and no one is to speak of the event thereafter until the baby outgrows the colic. Working with trees in this manner has also led to the belief that if the tree dies, then the illness will return, or the person healed by the tree will likewise die. Change is effected by leaving the unwanted condition on one side and returning the afflicted to their natural health on the other. This rite appears in many formulas around the world, especially those in Britain and Ireland. I'm sure you're familiar with the large boulders with the natural holes weathered into them. Newborns were passed through the holes for health, and sometimes, if the hole was big enough, people would walk right through, a symbolic rebirth. The numbers of the pass vary, but the general rule is 3. As most things in this work, the number 3 represents the Holy Trinity. Hands are passed over or on the body in faith healing, usually over the head. The same act occurs in many tricks to ease burns or stop blood, and in some folk Baptist deliverance ministries when expelling demons. The method of passing is further employed with the use of animals believed to be biblically endowed with power, whether by actual scripture or the simple folk belief. One formula I continue to follow is using the donkey in my works of healing and protection. In rural Appalachia, donkeys not only kept coyotes and wolves away from cattle and goats, but they also kept the devil away. In healing, the donkey is seen as a vehicle for miraculous power of Christ. This one is actually based on scripture. Others aren't, as most folks couldn't read or write, so they believed what other folks told them about the good book, and it changed and spread from there. The book of Mark, 11, 1-10. details the story of Jesus calling for a donkey colt to ride into the city of Jerusalem. He calls specifically for a colt that has never been ridden, which is why the oldest tales say the donkey has to be a colt, but today that isn't always required. After Jesus rode the donkey, it was forever marked with a cross. For this reason, the donkey is believed to be miraculous. It is, let me try this again. It is for this reason that the donkey is believed to hold miraculous healing powers. For seizures, sickness, broken bones, and more, a person is passed under and over the donkey 9 times, although this is generally only done with children. Absolutely. The tree has nothing to do with a colicky child. Absolutely. But the parents pass back and forth and create healing energy. It's easy to believe that the tree or the rite are what healed the child, but it's the parents creating the healing energy. It's the intention. Absolutely. Absolutely. For adults, they simply crawl under and hop over the donkey 9 times. 9 is a very significant number in these charms because Christ died in the 9th hour on the cross. The first battle mentioned in the Bible, Genesis 14, 1-2, involved a total of 9 kings, and 9 is associated with prayer, Acts 3-1 and 10-30. After the person has been passed, 3 hairs from their head and 4 from their toes are taken and placed into the cornbread, which is then fed to the donkey. The use of the donkey in rites of healing or protection stems, to my knowledge, from Ireland and Scotland. There are 2 other patterns showing in the latter part of this animal charm: transference of disease and what I call head to toe. Both are explained next. Exactly. Transference rites. I need a drink. Transference rites, or transference of disease, is exhibited in many forms of magic and witchcraft worldwide. It is the belief that things or the essence of them can be transferred from the one place or a carrier to another. As noted above with the donkey charms, food and hair are fed to the animal with the belief that doing so will pass the affliction from the person to the animal. Transference takes place in a few forms in Appalachian folk magic. One of these is the creation of a bag of warts, where a certain number of stones, the same amount as there are warts present, are taken up from the creek and placed in a bag. The bag is left at the crossroads to await the next person who opens it, thereby transferring the warts to them. I've heard of this before, yeah. A practice for styes says to go to a fork in the road, take up a stone there, and touch it to the afflicted eye while saying, "Sty, sty, leave me alone, go to the next passerby." This little rhyme is also said while holding a gold wedding ring against the sty. This one I have tried, and it works. You say so. All the women from my mother's side of the family treated morning sickness with this practice mentioned earlier, crawling over the husband to get out of bed in the morning. This will pass the symptoms on to him. Sounds cruel, I know, but for some odd reason it didn't hurt them as bad as the women. They get a bit lightheaded, nauseated, etc., but that's about it. That's also bullshit. Versions of these rites can be found in the many forms of magic, especially in North American folk magic traditions of Appalachia, the Ozarks, the Deep South, and Mexico. Although they are similar, the methods of the mountaineer are unique in the way he utilizes God-given sense, the land, and the Bible. One of these best examples is that of an egg in Appalachian folk magic. It shows omens and wisdoms and absorbs and holds tightly the prayers and needs of the user. It can also carry one's ghost after a fright or a traumatic event. Running the egg is one of the cleansing works I use for clients whereby an egg is passed over the client from head to toe to take out fevers, chills, and the pewter, and so on. In Appalachia, the devil was often said to have one pewter eye, and a person who can give the evil eye is said to be looking for the devil. The egg is then broken into a glass of water and read for any signs of cause of illness. Blood in the yolk means a curse. An eye will form for the evil eye, and the water will become murky for illness. Also basic science. Come on, what the fuck? Blood and however, don't be stupid and not go to the doctor if you need to. As I write this, the flu is horrible right now in America, and several people have already died because of it. Be as wise as you want, but don't be a fool. Other rites of transference uses trees. To be rid of the chills and fits, go to an aspen tree and wrap your arms around it. At the place where your fingers meet, carve a hole into the tree with a pocket knife. Back in the day, it had to be a stolen pocket knife, but I've used just any one. The hole is then loaded with 3 hairs taken from the crown of the head and a glob of honey or butter. While doing this, say the following. Aspen tree, I pray to thee. May you shiver and quake instead of me. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. The hole is then plugged up with the wood that was removed to transfer the chills to the tree. That's cool. Why the fuck? Which year? This book... I don't need commentary. 2019. Hi, Brianna. I know, right? For real. I'm sorry you're a T-Rex. I don't know about Brianna, but I'm 5 foot even, and my reach is not long. Yeah. Hug the little trees. Where did I leave off? Another rite that utilizes a tree is for when you have a toothache. The gums around the tooth are stirred with a toothpick or a needle to bring the blood. The blood is then wiped on a strip of white fabric, 1 inch wide by 7 inches long. Then find a tree where a root is exposed, ideally about 1 to 2 inches in diameter. Once you've found your root, dig down enough so you can wrap the fabric around the root, tie it in a knot, and leave without looking back. This will cure the aching. Sapling hugging, yeah. Baby tree hugs, aww. Another form of transference is shown in the act of buying. Diseases or the clients themselves, such as someone giving you money and then rubbing your warts for a bit afterward, or buying you from a relative. What? This confuses the disease spirit because it's not clear who has the possession of the ailment or the client themselves, leaving it only one option, and that is to leave. That makes no sense to me. My voice is just not having it today. One's own temperament while doing something can also transfer things to affect them in a certain way. One trick I'm sure most of my local readership has heard of growing up is to be mad as hell when planting any type of pepper. This itself varies by family and location in Appalachia. I personally grew up hearing that you had to piss someone off and then get them to plant a pepper without them knowing about the charm. Hard to do that when everybody knows this, so I'm sure you can just muster up enough anger to plant your own. Bring up things from the past in your head that made you mad. It's probably not psychologically healthy to do so, but you'll have some good peppers come harvest, so screw it. Confuse the illness away. Got it. Yeah. But the idea of buying you from a relative? What? Transference rites don't focus solely on healing and removing disease either. They can be done to remove spirits and conjure tricks placed on you. To remove the spirit of a haint from their old home, get a potato and an item that belonged to them in life. Oh yeah, I know this one. Cut the potato in half and hollow out both sides just enough to fit the item inside. Then close up the potato with string. Take this charm to their grave and bury the potato at the heart of it. The spirit will be transferred and bound to the grave. Yeah. To remove a conjuring placed on you, take one hair from the crown of your head, an eyebrow hair, and a nail clipping from your left hand. Bundle these into a bag and blow into it 9 times. Take this bundle and leave it at a crossroads far from your home, one that you will rarely pass by. The 9th person to pass the crossroads will receive the trick. It's apparent that this trick was likely formulated by lay people and not a conjure person. The lay people simply took it into their hands with what they knew and transferred the charm to someone else. I would be hesitant to put personal effects like hair or skin or nails, stuff like that. I was super paranoid when I was young, and I would not shed in public. And if I did, I would gather it and then dispose of it some other way, usually by burning. It might be because I was raised in this kind of magical thinking, but I don't find it any harder to swallow than nearly anything else from another magical tradition. The whole thing depends on putting things like logic and science aside, or else all witchcraft kind of crumbles under scrutiny, doesn't it? Maybe. I think science and witchcraft should go hand in hand, personally. In many ways, witchcraft is a science. It gets kind of hazy, doesn't it? I need a break. I need a break. Huh. Stretchy stretch. My voice and my throat are just like not having it today. What do you guys think? The voice is good. It is weird that a lot of these witchy books are written in first person. Kind of proving that it's a subjective sort of thing as opposed to an objective sort of thing. Like, I don't write in my grimoire and stuff in first person. I do for my journaling, but not for, like, I don't know, I found witchcraft through a kind of science. I mean, quantum mechanics is a science, right? Yeah, quantum physics, totally a thing. Consider yesterday's discussion about urine in a witch bottle. What scientific properties does urine give that backs up a protection spell? Well, it doesn't. It's less about protection and more about fighting fire with fire. You would use, like, war water is done with urine, right? And then you take it and you smash the bottle or you spray it over the door of over the threshold of someone you want to curse. So the idea is that you take the vitriol from your body and use it to curse someone. However, that's excessive. You can scare away dangerous animals in real life if you're in the woods. That's true. Absolutely. But vinegar works just as well. Sometimes rum. Excuse me. Goodness. I guess I should be wrapping up. My point is that there is no scientific support that urine has any magical properties. The magic is not the urine, the magic is in our intention. The urine that's why I think vinegar works just as well. Vinegar is also an amazing cleaning agent, that's true. I think that the rituals and symbols are to channel the power of your mind to influence reality. My personal interpretation of magic, though. Yes, that's a chaos magic way of looking at it. That whole chaos theory thing. So the weirdness of Appalachian magic is simply a strange way of doing the same magical behavior everyone else does. Which is fine. I try and relate it in some way, at least. Quantum mechanics says that the particles behave differently when touched by the observer. I'm surprised. Yeah, it's Christian based, right? And there's a lot of, like, random blindness in Christianity. So the idea of having a God-based, a big G-based witchcraft seems like an oxymoron to me. Am surprised? Yeah, I feel you. Listened while I drove. Tell me about your contest before I wrap this up. Turtle, if you check out the history of white people who settled in the area, there's a reason there's so much Christianity. Yeah. Quantum mechanics is very interesting. Chaos theory, too. For reals. For reals. It would have been great to have LR here for this conversation. I agree. There's got to be more to it. There's got to be more to it that he's not talking about. Sometimes he talks about it, like the blackberries and the blackberry bush and all of that jazz. But some of it, like, he's suspiciously vague about. Bonnie, 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 bonnie. The documentary, What the Bleep. Oh, wow. Kabump. No, the author is Jake Richards. The Christianity really muddles things. Yeah, it does. Documentary, What the Bleep Do We Know, is what put me on the path of witchcraft, which I still smile about. Yeah. Top of the hour. Am I back? Yeah, my internet flickered. You froze, but you're back. Okay. Yay. Yay. All right. I am going to close out this stream. Thank you all for joining me. If there is another stream going on this morning, let me know. Oh, I might lay back down for a little bit, frankly. But I need to be productive today. Thank you all for joining me this morning. I will catch you. Yeah. So, seriously, are you a bot? Yeah, 90% superstition. See y'all around. Catch you guys later.